And we back. So the past couple weeks have been super hectic here on this channel. We continue to grow. The channel has been booming as of late. And I don't know if people are coming over from House of Highlights or here or there, but regardless, if you're new, welcome. So instead of having these new people go back and watch the 1,000 videos that I've uploaded, I decided to just make a Q&A to kind of help them understand who we are. Even though I recommend go watching those 1,000 videos, because you feel me, your boy need it. So what I did was go onto Twitter and told people to ask me questions, same thing with Instagram, and I picked some of the ones that I think will help new people understand who I am and what this channel is all about. Let's get to the first one. First question comes from Elijah on Twitter, who says, are you doing YouTube full time? If so, was it a hard decision to make that leap to doing strictly YouTube, and why? Yes, Elijah, I do YouTube full time, and yes, Elijah, it was hard to make that switch. Believe it or not, y'all, Kenny has a degree. It ain't a bachelor's degree or a master's or a doctorate. It's an associate's degree, which means that I did 2 years of college and I backed out. You feel me? And backing out of college was the hard decision, because I have been doing YouTube full time for a few years now, so that was no big deal. But while I was doing YouTube, I was also in school. But I made the decision to stop school because I thought, maybe I don't need a degree to get my dream job. If I keep working on this YouTube stuff, I can potentially get my dream job. And so far, it's kind of working out. We making steps to that dream job. But it was a hard decision because in my life, my dad has always been about the books. You bring me A's home, and if you do anything less than that, you in trouble. So you gotta expect, like, me telling him that I was gonna stop going to school to do YouTube like 100% was a little difficult. So instead of me going to his house and telling him face to face, called him on the phone. I ain't had to look the man in his eye. And even to this day, he still bring it up here and there. He wants me to go back, but if I don't need to go back, why do it? You feel me? YouTube has been pretty good to me so far, so I want to continue this and also get to that next step. But it was hard, and yes, it is my job. Emmanuel said, how old were you when you started doing YouTube, and was it a basketball video? I started doing YouTube in 2011, which would make me 13 years old or 14 years old, and it was actually an NCAA video. Yeah, my favorite YouTubers at that time was Duke the Killer. I don't even know if Duke the Killer's still making videos, but he was my favorite YouTuber then, and he did a lot of Madden and the NCAA football, so I wanted to replicate that. So that was my first video. I didn't really get into like making these type of videos that wasn't 2K or wasn't gaming until maybe like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, when I was like, you know what? I like just talking to the camera. I don't need gameplay in the background. I don't need to play 2K. So it took me a while to realize that this was the better idea. I like this a lot more, and that's how I've been rolling since. Next question comes from Hooper's Debate, who says, who was the best high school player you have played against? All right, y'all. So I played high school basketball for freshman year and sophomore year. And sophomore year barely count because I didn't get no PT. I was just on the roster, you feel me? So I'm not even gonna talk about high school because freshman year, if you were good, you probably played on varsity. So I didn't play against those guys. I'm gonna take it a little step back. In 8th grade, I played against this guy named Mike Smith. He's actually a friend now. He was in 8th grade and I played against him and he absolutely dominated us. And we were like, yeah, he's gonna be playing college ball somewhere. And he does. Right now he plays college ball at Columbia, an Ivy League school, starting point guard for them. He gives people buckets. He's pretty good. And he's like my height too. You know, he's a D1 athlete at like 5'8", 5'9"-ish. I respect the man. We playing Xbox together every once in a while. But he was the best player I had to like guard, if that makes sense. I forgot to even mention that Mike is like homies with Jimmy Butler, which is just automatically a dub. Charlie asks, how much does it cost to make a podcast? Making a podcast could be relatively free, bro. If you have your phone, you can literally record y'all voices on the phone. If you want to go the super cheap route, put your phone in the middle of a table and talk to each other. But you could go another route like we did, where we try to basically come at it as professional as possible. It's expensive. Start off with a super underrated part, and that's the light. And this lighting fixture cost me about 500 bucks because it is so stellar. Like, I turn this all the way up and it's like a sauna in here, but it lights up the entire room and gets rid of shadows for the set and everything. So that was 500 bucks. Shout out Ye. Shout out Young Kenny. All right. Each one of these microphones are about 100 bucks. These aren't the best microphones in the world, but they get the job done. 100, 100, 100. And then down here with the mixer, this cost me about 500. And this just receives all the microphones, and you can adjust the volume. And I'm not gonna touch nothing because we got to fit perfectly, but all the volumes, all the knobs and stuff, super important because of these cords and all. Each one of these with 40 bucks, you know, that, and then this, I don't remember what I paid for. But the camcorders, $1,000 here, 1,000 here, 1,000 here. And then even these, we got these to make it look more professional because, I mean, behind here is a couch and a poster. So we didn't want that in the shot, so we had to get these little room dividers on each side so you can't see the door of my apartment. And so yeah, we spent, I don't even want to know the total amount of money that was spent on the set. I'm just gonna act like it wasn't a lot, but it was. But that was just us. You ain't got to do that much. We just want to come at it at 100 and keep it at 100. Next question comes from Andrew, who says, how long did it take you guys to make the podcast happen after coming up with the idea? Dog, when they said that they were done, they were ready to do it, within an hour, I was out of my door going to buy the equipment. Because the way I look at things is like, if you just go and make things happen, you don't have time to doubt yourself. I could have easily said, you know what, maybe I don't want to do the podcast, y'all, because what if nobody listened? If when I went out to buy that equipment, my sole purpose was to get rid of any doubt that we had in our mind because it was done for. I put all the money into the mics and the mixer instantly. There was no turning back. So because of that, there was no doubting period. I was just jumping on it. And then after that, it took us like a week to get our schedules right. So we all were off work on the same day. And boom, Through the Wire was born. Speaking of Through the Wire, the homie Mike said, what is the hardest NBA moment to rewatch? But thank you, Mike, for making us relive this moment. The entire city heart was broken this day. And it ain't been repaired. It ain't been repaired. I can't. That's it. That's it. That's all I got. That's all I got. Jonathan asks, how did you find out you were recruited by House of Highlights, and what was the experience like when you found out? Jonathan, this is an incredible question, bro. So they contacted me in January. Couple emails were sent, we talked on the phone once, but nothing materialized, which is fine. That happens a lot. Believe it or not, there's a lot of conversations between me and companies behind the scenes that don't end up being anything, but that's okay. So it didn't turn out to anything, but one thing they did say was, at the end of the playoffs, let us know what you up to. So you know what I did? On June 9th, let me show you what happened June 9th. The Golden State Warriors finished their sweep of the Cleveland Cavaliers on June 8th. On June 9th, I emailed them back. So we just wrapped up our first season covering the NBA with our podcast. We accomplished so much in a year's time, but we know we can do so much more. Over the past month or so, our team has been working behind the scenes to launch a new portion of our show, a visual show. Our podcast reached many people with just the audio show, but as someone who does YouTube full time, I know we could be reaching a much larger audience with the YouTube channel. We've been putting up a set, getting professional cameras, and preparing ourselves for a launch in a few weeks. We'd love for House of Highlights to come along on our journey. So Jonathan, we contacted them. Yeah, and then it was just a match made in heaven. We talked some more, and it just materialized. I always have been a guy to take initiative. When I see something that I want, I'm gonna try to go get it. When we talked the first time at House of Highlights, I wanted to sign in January, but they didn't have anything on the table, which is fine. But he said, hit me back up after the playoffs. The day after the playoffs, I emailed him. I was counting down the days. It just worked out that way. Luca asked, do you think there should be a rule where based on the amount of points plus assists plus rebounds you average, you have to receive a certain amount of money in order to prevent situations like a player like Boogie not taking 5.3 mil a year? That's the first and maybe the only basketball question we're going to answer in this video. I think the idea is cool, but I don't think it's realistic because you'll see so many more players stat chasing. There are players in the NBA that are very, very valuable, but they don't get the stats. So players like Andre Iguodala would not be able to make any money because he averages like 6 points a game. But we know that Iggy is super, super important to the league and super, super important to his team. So I think players will be more about the individual stats, if that is, you know, because teams can look at Iggy play and be like, that guy's valuable, even though he's not scoring 20 a game, you know? So I think the idea is cool, but I wouldn't sign my name on it. And the last question comes from Dean, who says, what advice do you wish you knew when you started YouTube? I'm glad I didn't have any direction when I started. Because when I started, the goal wasn't to turn this into a job. The goal was just to play video games and record it, you know? If I told my younger self that I should be taking it more seriously, I may not be in the situation that I am now. Some of my best or most viewed videos that got a lot of y'all to subscribe are not serious videos. You know, I didn't make them with the intent that, man, I want to be on TV one day. I made them just like, let's have some fun. And if I would have told my younger self, like, you got to take this serious, this is your future job, maybe those videos don't exist. Maybe that video of me cracking eggs over my head don't exist. I don't know. I don't think I want any advice. And that is it. That's how we're going to end this video. So hopefully you guys that are new learned a little bit more about me. We'll do something like this every once in a while. I just thought it would be fun to do now. Thank y'all so much for watching. The newest episode of Through the Wire just dropped, House of Highlights, and on our audio feed. Go ahead and listen or watch, whichever one you want to do that. And also, oh yeah, my Summer League recap video dropped too. So yeah, do that.